See there, the city of Kraków. The castle sits on Wawel Hill. Do you know who built it? It was King Krak, of course, the Polish prince. The city's name comes from this great man. But Krak did much more than build a castle. First, he had to prove himself. Most men prove themselves by winning wars, or winning the hearts of the people. But Krak had a much harder job. You see, at that time, a dragon terrorized the people of Kraków. The city had a different name then, but it has been lost to time. So have the dragons, which is fortunate for us all. Great men like Krak killed them. But let me remind you what these creatures were. Dragons had skin as hard as rock, teeth as sharp as knives, eyes as red as fire, and their breath turned to flames. As if that weren't enough, these monsters had wings that let them fly like the fittest birds, and they could talk just like humans. And, as you well know, with the power of speech come tricks and lies. So the dragon made its home in a cave by the Vistula River, the longest river in Poland that flows through Kraków, and there the dragon terrorized the poor people of the city. Each week, it flew to the top of Wawel Hill and gave its demand. "I hunger," roared the dragon. "Bring me flesh. Be it sheep or cow or chicken or man, I do not care, but bring me flesh." And to prove it meant what it said, the dragon breathed out fire all over the city, so that any birds that flew above it were burned and fell to the ground, and so that every person in the city would feel the heat of the dragon's flames. The people of Kraków kissed goodbye to their sheep and cows and chickens and delivered them to the monster, but never did they give it human flesh. Because no human was cruel enough to send another to such a horrible death. It was to such a scene that Krak arrived. At this time, he was not a prince, but just an ordinary man. He had come from the forests, and nobody knew much about his past, and nobody cared to know, because he had not yet proven himself. Krak saw what was happening, and knew it could not go on this way. Eventually, the sheep and cows and chickens would run out, and it wouldn't take long for the people to choose each other as meat. Those who tried to escape the city were hunted by the dragon, and it was clear that the monster enjoyed human flesh just as much as animal flesh. Krak knew that it was wisdom, not strength, that would defeat the dragon. Already many men of great strength, knights and soldiers, had come to attack the monster, and in every case, the dragon was stronger. Krak was strong himself, and he had the wisdom to know that his strength was not enough. So Krak wandered the city, looking for wisdom. He searched in all the obvious places. He went to schools and the houses of great men. He searched through libraries. He asked people who were the wisest in Kraków. But while he found many men and women who were clever, none showed true wisdom. They knew all about the world, all about God and the night sky, but none of them were wise enough to defeat the dragon. Krak began to wander at night. He found his mind worked more freely at night, when the dragon was asleep. But as much as he thought about it, he could not think of a solution, a way to kill the dragon. One night, Krak wandered past a house where a man was working. He stopped for a moment and looked through the window. He was confused. Outside the house, there was a sign for a cobbler's, but inside, rather than shoes, he saw all kinds of strange devices. The devices hung from the ceiling. They sat on shelves, they covered the floor. As long as Krak looked at them, he could not understand what these devices were for. In the corner of the room stood the old cobbler, working on one of these strange objects. "Hey there, called 𝗃𝗴𝗴𝗀𝗀𝗀 at this moment that I should mention that the young Krak, for as handsome and wise as he was, did not have the prettiest of voices. In fact, his voice was so ugly that when he spoke to women, he avoided speaking as much as possible. He would kiss their hand, look into their eyes, laugh at their jokes, but never say a word himself. The moment Krak did speak, the magic was broken, and the girls quickly found a reason to stop talking to him. Fortunately, the old cobbler did not do the same, but he was certainly surprised to hear such a horrible voice calling to him in the night. "Young man, you do not have to scream like that." "I am sorry," said Krak. "Oh, that is just your voice." "Well, it's late and I'm closed, but we live in a city terrorized by a dragon, so I suppose the normal rules don't work anymore. Can I help you with anything?" He looked down at Krak's shoes. "Those are nice boots. Want another pair?" "No," said Krak, trying very hard to speak pleasantly. "What are those devices?" "Oh, my inventions. It's just a hobby," explained the old cobbler. "These days, people don't have much money for shoes. They hide their money in socks under their bed. So I've had more time to invent." "Don't touch that." Krak froze. He had been about to touch a big round black device hanging from the ceiling. "Some of them explode," said the old man, slightly embarrassed. "I get bored. In this time of fear, inventing things is a wise way to pass the time," said Krak. "In fact, that gives me an idea." "What is your name?" "𝗘្𝗴𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀, said the cobbler. "𝗘្���𝗏, said Krak with a smile. "I think I could use your help. Tell me, how does this thing explode?" "It's quite simple really," said the old man. He went and took the device down from the ceiling. He told Krak to be careful with it, but he held it like it was nothing. "It's full of sulfur powder. If you add fire and air, boom, it explodes." "Sulfur powder," said Krak quietly. "Why would you invent such a thing?" "I was angry at my son," said the cobbler, and he pointed at a smaller device in the corner. "That was the original one. I just wanted to scare him a bit. He had been behaving so badly. But then when it exploded, it flew right into the air. He thought it was so fun, and asked me to make a bigger one. He thought it would be great fun. Like a big party for everyone." "How sweet," said Krak. Not many fathers would make dangerous explosives for their son. The cobbler smiled, but his eyes were sad. "I didn't make it for him, at first. He asked me to, and I told him it was dangerous. But it didn't matter in the end. The dragon got him." A silence that smelled like sulfur hung in the air. The old man slowly put the device down, and for a moment they both looked at it. "Old cobbler, I have an idea. They were the last sheep in the city, just 4. 3 of the sheep shook as the dragon looked down at them, but the 4th sheep stayed strangely still. "This is all you have to offer me?" said the dragon. "I want flesh." "This is all we have left," said Krak, acting like a scared villager. "Ha," said the dragon. "Your voice sounds like mine. I don't like that." The dragon looked at him with flames in his eyes, and Krak turned and ran. Flames poured out of the dragon's mouth, but Krak had already jumped in the 𝗘្�che𝗿𝗀𝗀𝗀. He swam quickly under the water, and found a place to hide and watch the dragon. Next time, I will eat you, human." And the monster opened its mouth wide and ate the 4 sheep. For a moment, it looked like it would fly back to its cave to rest. But then it stopped. Of course, most of the people hid in their homes, but a few brave men, including 𝗘𝗴𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, the cobbler, watched through the windows. The dragon stopped. Something was wrong. It didn't like something about its food. "Come on," said 𝗏 quietly. The dragon coughed, but no flames came out of its mouth. It coughed again, and then it started to shake. "What have you?" Suddenly, the dragon ran to the river. It went down to drink the water, but it was too slow. The fire inside its stomach had mixed with the sulfur powder inside the sheep, and boom, like a firework on New Year's Eve, the dragon exploded. Its horrible black flesh broke into pieces which landed all over the town. For a few minutes, the people were too shocked to speak. Then, they came to their windows. They looked out and saw all those pieces of red flesh, which smelled strongly of sulfur. Finally, they understood. The dragon was dead. The people ran out and cheered. They started celebrating, unable to believe what was happening, and the party lasted for days. At first, they burned the dragon flesh, but then they quickly realized that they could clean it and eat it, and after losing all their cows and sheep to the dragon, they needed it. What happened to 𝗏 and the cobbler? Well, you already know. He didn't want to tell people what he'd done. He was a simple man. But the people soon found out it was him. They wanted to make him king for his strength and wisdom. 𝗏 said that the cobbler had done the real work, but he looked like a hero, like a king, and so finally he let them make him one. "I may have made the invention," said 𝗘𝗴𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀, one night at dinner with the king, "but I wasn't stupid enough to dress it up like a sheep and put it in front of a dragon. Only you could do that." "Some would say I was wise," said 𝗏. "No, stupid is more accurate." The two friends laughed, and 𝗏 poured 𝗘𝗴𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀 another drink. 𝗏 was a good king, although he never felt comfortable being so rich. Also, he avoided talking as much as possible, because he didn't really sound like a king. Of course, he made sure that 𝗘𝗴𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀 had a good life, although the old man was happy as long as he could make shoes and work on his inventions. And King 𝗏 made sure to keep plenty of sulfur powder, just in case another dragon ever came to Krakow. If you are brave, like 𝗏, and perhaps a little bit stupid, you can still see the dragon today. There is a statue of it on 𝗬𝗬𝗀 Hill, and real fire comes out of its mouth. But be careful. It is a statue today, but who knows about tomorrow?